Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, good morning and welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We're bringing it to you hot and live like we do each and every morning. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Who, me? And the man on the other microphone, he is a great patriot. People know him to be the greatest patriot of all times. Even though there is a guy named Tom Brady out in the world, we know him as...
Yeah, it's your boy, Chris America, coming to you live this Friday, February the 8th, 2019, Loudbeard. And Loudbeard, if you've made it this far with your New Year's resolution, I think you're solid. You're good to go. So I have to ask, for all the listeners that don't know, I'm going to get a little personal on Loudbeard here. Loudbeard, I believe you told me you did the Whole30 diet the last 30 days. Did you make it all the way through? Did you and Mrs. Loudbeard see it all the way through?
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. Once I put my mind to something, there's no holding me back. We did it. We did the 30 days. It actually ended Wednesday. So
Okay.
I'm 2 days off of it. I'm still trying to eat well. I ate well yet.
Oh, good. I
all
was
day
wondering if you were
Wednesday.
like wings and beer crazy, just shoving chocolate cakes down your gullet.
No, none of that craziness. Trying to still eat pretty good, though we splurged a little bit last night at dinner just because you get that celebratory we did it meal where you finally get to eat something that has maybe a little bit of carb in it or a little sugar in it or something that tastes good. Didn't go dessert, didn't go full on, but had a nice meal and a few beers. After going 30 days with no beer, it was nice to have a nice beer. But I did a diet beer so I could stay good. And you know what my diet beer is? It's Mick Ultra. It's like drinking water,
Oh,
basically.
yeah, Mick Ultra. Just basically drinking water with like 2% alcohol in it.
Yeah, it's perfect. I had the diet
But you know
beer,
what?
so I'm good.
It's better to be healthy than to try to appease others around you who feel insecure about their manhood and need to look at other beers as to what other people are drinking beer.
Yeah, that's true. How dare they? How dare
Yeah,
they
Loudbeard.
judge me?
I went the opposite way. Or not opposite, but just a different way. I went with the keto diet. That's the high-fat, low-carb. I picked that one because it requires you to eat a lot of meat. And I'm all about eating meat. I love that I can still eat hamburgers, hot dogs, bacon, ribs, wings, whatever I want, I can eat it. Just the no carbs thing. So I've been loving it. I did splurge on Super Bowl Sunday, though. I don't know how you did it on Super Bowl Sunday. Luckily, my diet wasn't like a 30-day challenge thing. So I was kind of like, you know what? I've been doing it for 4 weeks. I can have these chocolate brownies that somebody brought to the Super Bowl, and they came with cool little Super Bowl rings.
Wow. Were they did they have any like greenery inside of them? Or those kind of brownies?
I see what you're
Were
putting
they from
down.
Colorado? You know what I mean?
No, these came from Publix, so we're not there yet in Florida. I bet if I went to although there's no Publix in Colorado, but if they did have a Publix in Colorado, you could buy those there.
Maybe. Just maybe. So yeah, successful on the 30-day challenge, so I'm good with that. And I feel good. Again, splurged a little bit last night, but it's okay. I'm going to keep the healthy living moving forward. So you're going to see a whole new Loudbeard. It's going to be all new in my life. It's going to be great, Chris America, until I eat pizza and wings and beer and all that. No, next week, whatever. But it's okay because I survived the 30 days, and that was my real goal. Start the year off right. I needed to kick the year off in the right direction, and that's what I did. So I'm good. It's all good.
Well,
for me.
Loudbeard, I'm going to give you another reason to feel good. Are you ready for it?
Bring it.
Hocus pocus,
Yeah,
that song, don't you?
Loudbeard. It
Love
is time to play the Orlando Magic song, and we have twice the reason to play the Orlando Magic song. So I'm going to let it roll through again. Yeah, that's right, Orlando Magic fans, Loudbeard. We have reasons to celebrate 2 times because you know what? We got the #1 overall pick from the draft a year ago, and we won a basketball game last night, Loudbeard. It was a great day in Orlando Magic history.
One of the greatest of all times. You know, the Orlando Magic does pretty well with #1 overall draft picks. I can think of a Shaquille O'Neal playing on the Orlando Magic. He fared very well. I can think of a Dwight Howard faring very well while he was on the Orlando Magic. Garbage everywhere else. And I can think of a now Markelle Fultz coming to revive his career, to come out of the gutter that he had fallen into and be picked up by that magical force known as the Orlando Magic.
Yes, sir. We're going to go ahead and ride this wave. I've seen lots of negativity. One guy talking about how that, Markelle Fultz is the worst #1 overall pick of all time, and this trade proves it. I said that could be one of the things, but the jury's still out on that. Or, and I believe you alluded to this yesterday in our conversation, Loudbeard, this could be one of the worst trades the Sixers have ever made in the history of sports.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, this is one of those guys, Markelle Fultz. Yeah, he's been a little bit of a head case. He's got these problems where he forgot how to shoot, and a lot of weird speculation around this. He fell out of the good graces over there in Philadelphia, and now he could bounce back. So this is a low risk pick for the trade for the Orlando Magic. They're not sending a whole lot away, so they're not losing a whole lot. And I mean, let's face it. Orlando's not that good anyway. When you're that far out of the 8th seed in the East, it's not like you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, we're losing a piece to the puzzle. So whatever Orlando traded, it really wasn't too bad. They end up trading Jonathan Simmons, who's a quality role player, but, you know, the risk definitely is outweighed by the reward. The reward on this is if Markelle Fultz ends up being a superstar like we thought he could be when he was drafted #1 overall and everybody was going goo-goo and gaga over Markelle Fultz and how explosive he is and how he's going to be this just generational type player. And then, of course, when he comes to the NBA, all of that falls apart. But he's got so many things going on, a lot of pressure on him for being that #1 overall pick. This is an opportunity for him to start over, to start fresh with the Orlando Magic and maybe regain some of that. So Orlando could be getting a diamond in the rough, or if it doesn't pan out, it was an opportunity or a risk worth taking because you really didn't lose a whole lot in giving Markelle Fultz a chance. And he needed to get out of Philadelphia. This is good for Philadelphia. They needed to wash their hands of him and just move on with their program. They've got their big 4 that they're excited about. And now Orlando Magic can see what they can do with Markelle Fultz.
Yes, sir. And I think one of the things, too, is, Loudbeard, you alluded to it, this is a very low risk. We traded Oklahoma City's first-round pick. We didn't even trade our own. So that's going to be somewhere probably between 21 and 30, which might as well just be a second-round pick. And then we traded another second-round pick, and then we traded Jonathan Simmons, which you alluded to again, is just a really solid role player. And that's all the Magic have to trade away right now are just solid role players. Even our all-star, Nick Vucevic, he's really just a role player, kind of like a Draymond Green. Like they're like a really, really good role player, but you can't run or build a team around a role player, especially if that role player is a center who can shoot. He's not really that great of a ball handler. When the Magic are down 2, they really have no go-to guy to kind of take over the game and who you want to put in the ISO to kind of run the floor and everything. And now I hope that Markelle Fultz is finally that guy. We haven't had a good point guard, Loudbeard, since, oh gosh, we got to go way back, don't we?
Yeah, Jameer Nelson.
Jameer Nelson.
That was the last superstar.
I was trying to think if there was anybody.
He made one All-Star
there.
game, I think.
Yeah, and I was trying to think if there's anybody between him and there, and I draw a blank, Loudbeard. We just haven't had a point guard that's good. Now, I'm going to put the Magic positive spin on the Markelle Fultz shooting situation. From what I've heard and what I've read, is that he's had some sort of nerve issue, and he's had surgery to fix that, and that's what's been the shooting problem. I'm going to go with that, Loudbeard. I'm going to say that problem is solved, and he's now going to light the boards up.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yeah, I mean, I saw that too, where he did have this nerve issue. They had a hard time diagnosing it, but once they did, they think they fixed it. It was kind of a sad situation where the number one guy just can't do anything right for his team. But now he does. He gets that new start, and you're right. If that surgery has fixed that problem physically, now he's just got to get that mental toughness back, get his physical stamina back, and just work on that shot. And he'll be back. This is a good pick for the Magic. I'm looking forward to seeing what this ends up being for the Orlando Magic.
And he can also just, for right now, until he gets that down, just be a great facilitator. Some of the things that I mentioned is we need somebody to have the ball in their hands at the end of the game. Well, he can cause the ISO to make people draw to him and then just pass it out to Vucevic waiting in the wing, or to Aaron Gordon, or to some of the other guys who are pretty decent shooters. And hopefully that wins us the game, Loudbeard. I'm excited about it. A couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was a week ago, you asked me if I wanted Lonzo Ball. You know what? Lonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz, I feel like their careers are sort of married together because they went 1 and 2, because they were high-profile point guards. And I feel like, is there really that big of a difference between Lonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz right now as far as their career? Maybe Lonzo Ball has slightly better stats, but is it really that much of a difference to where it makes up for having LeVar Ball, the clown, in your locker room?
No, it
I think
really
I'd take
doesn't make
Markelle
that big of a
Fultz still
difference.
in this. I think I'd take Markelle Fultz still in this situation. If the draft were to be redone and we had to choose one or the other, I would still take Markelle Fultz over Lonzo Ball.
Well, in any scenario, the Magic did as well as they possibly could in the trade at the trade deadline. They weren't going to trade for a superstar. Anthony Davis isn't coming to Orlando. We don't have enough assets for that. So what is the next best thing? To get a potential superstar, right? Get somebody that you can develop. And Markelle Fultz, former number 1 overall, this is the best case scenario for the Orlando Magic. And I love seeing that they made a move. And just like all the other teams in the East, the Magic were active. This was a very active trade deadline, Chris America. We had some good moves at the end. Yeah, we didn't have the splashy Anthony Davis, which on air, I do have to say, my bad. I have to eat it.
An idiot sandwich.
I said he'd be in L.A. I did, and I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I don't know what New Orleans is doing. I don't know where they're standing pat, but there's other teams out there that made some good moves. One of those teams, the Toronto Raptors, Chris America. How do you feel about our Toronto Raptors?
I think Toronto made the best move of the day. They went out and got Gasol, and I think that's the solid piece to finish off. It's the icing on top of the cake of what they already have going on out there. And looking at the landscape of the East, I think it's there. I told you I'd wanted to wait and see what Toronto does before I make my decision about them. Man, I think I'm getting on the Toronto Raptors horse and saying that that's the team to beat right now in the East. I think it's theirs to lose going into the playoffs.
Well, I really like the Toronto Raptors move for a number of reasons, but to me, the number one reason that I think that this is a great move is because I look at what the Toronto Raptors did the last couple years. What they did is they had a strong regular season, which they're doing this season, and then they go in the playoffs, and they fall apart in the playoffs. And I kind of accredited that to their superstars. They had DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, and both of them kind of struggled when it came down to playoff time. So what do? The Raptors in the offseason, they go out and get Kawhi Leonard, who is not only a superstar, but he's a veteran presence that has playoff experience and has won in the playoffs. And then now you go out and get another veteran who, he's not a superstar anymore. He's not an all-star caliber guy, but he's an above-average center who brings a lot to the table, and he has also won a lot of games in the playoffs. You're getting these guys that have playoff experience that are going to help push your team over the hump and maybe get a finals shot. And that's what I love about this move. And I think Toronto has positioned themselves perfectly to find themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals or in the NBA Finals at the end of this run. So I love what the Toronto Raptors did, and I think this is great.
Well, Loudbeard, you just ate an idiot sandwich, right?
Yes, I did, and it was delicious.
And I'm actually glad. There's 2 idiot sandwiches that you had to eat today, and I'm glad you had to eat them. And I'm sure you're glad to eat them too, because one was, I'm sure you're glad the Lakers didn't get AD.
Yep, I'm actually okay with that. Yep.
And I'm sure you're glad that your prediction that the Magic won't do anything before the trade deadline is also a good idiot sandwich for you to eat.
Okay, I can live with that too. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But there's somebody else who needs to eat an idiot sandwich, and that is one LeVar Ball. Let's take a listen to what he said yesterday before the trade deadline. This is like hours before, like in the morning time.
We close in age. We got a lot of the same. And then you ruined it by talking about Lonzo is better than LeBron. You know that's not true. You know that.
Why?
What you mean, why?
Why? Because LeBron been in the league for 15 years? I mean, how do you judge LeBron being better than my son? I ain't gonna say nobody better than my son.
It's okay if it's the truth.
But if my son can play, which I know what I put into
not
him,
saying he can't
as
play.
far as shooting and passing and playing and running, LeBron hurt. He getting old. He getting old.
LeVar.
He getting old.
LeVar.
I tell you this, he can't go Alonzo on that fast break.
LeVar.
Can't move that fast.
Your guy shooting 23% from the
You can
three-point
shoot
line.
10%.
40% from the free throw line. How can he be better than the GOAT?
You talking about percentages shooting on free throws?
Okay.
Don't tell me about no free throws.
Okay, what about the
He been in the
free
league for a long time. What was LeBron shooting from the free throw line?
Like 68%.
I can tell you what. He been in the league a long time
He
to
never-
not be able to make no free throws.
He ain't
where
never
get
shot
the-
40%.
He ain't got to shoot 40%.
He ain't never shot 20% from the three-point line.
He ain't got to shoot 20%.
Okay.
Wow, Loudbeard. I just feel like I got dumber listening to that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Shannon Sharp's trying to kind of knock some sense into him, but that's great talk radio right there when you've got LeVar Ball just totally giving it the old, my son, nobody's better than my son. Nobody's better than not LeBron. Yeah, come on now. The guy is crazy. We know that. He'll say whatever to get attention. He's such an attention hog. And, I mean, LeBron, I have a feeling, is just going to ignore this noise because he's an intelligent man and he knows better. But LeVar is ready to stir the pot. He was quiet for a long time. And in the last couple days, man, he's really come out of his shell again, hasn't he?
I think he felt like him and Lonzo were out of there. I really do. And now, I mean, he didn't say it there, but one of his other quotes was that LeBron's not going to win a title in LA without Lonzo, that kind of thing. And I don't know. I know that you're saying that LeBron is a professional. He is. He's a consummate professional, but it's hard to overlook what went down in LA. This is going to be some tough work for Luke Walton and Magic Johnson to kind of get everybody back together and say, all right, don't forget we have a goal to win and go to the playoffs.
Well, you know, you say that, Chris America, but if I remember correctly, last night there may have been a game played in Boston where the Los Angeles Lakers were going up against a very difficult Boston Celtics team, and they may have just happened to have one of their best players, Rajon Rondo, shoot a last-second shot to put them ahead to upset the Boston Celtics at home, and the whole team came together. They were all hugging each other, that they loved each other at the very end of that game. All of that may have happened last night, Chris America, so we may have already forgotten all that drama, and we might be moving forward as the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yes, and it sounded just like this.
Here's Rondo. He scored! Buzzer! Oh! He scored! Buzzer! Oh!
Yeah, that's the celebration right there. They're all hugging each other like they love each other, that they pretend like, and it was kind of weird. LeBron was at the outside and was like going in for the hug. I felt like there was a little bit of like, oh, you're going to join this hug too, buddy? Like, you just try to trade all of us. But, him and Rajon Rondo, are they're good. They're good because Rondo wasn't in any of those trade talks because he's kind of on an expiring deal, and he's a one-year mercenary veteran that was taken on that team just to help out. But, man, craziness over there in L.A. The Lakers are back, Chris America. I'm pronouncing it or announcing it right now.
They're back. They're large and in charge. They're better than ever. Or are the Celtics worse off than we think?
The Celtics might be worse off than we think because for a couple reasons, but I do have to just mention this real quick. Our listeners out there, they can always hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. A good friend of the show, Memphis Spence, at Memphis Spence on Twitter, just tweeted at us, Chris America, what do you put on all those idiot sandwiches, mustard or ketchup? I added the Chris America part. It's really meant for both of us. So are you a ketchup or mustard guy on your idiot sandwich, Chris America?
No, I'm neither of those. I am mayonnaise. I don't really put mustard or ketchup on a sandwich. Ketchup goes on like hot dogs, hamburgers, that kind of thing. Although I'm sure somebody's gonna be mad that, it's Memphis Spence tweeting at us. Yeah, he's gonna be mad that I put ketchup on hot dogs. He thinks that's for children. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna let you know right now, Chris America. I use Hunt's ketchup on my sandwiches because I am Patrick Mahomes' biggest fan. And Patrick Mahomes endorsed Hunt's ketchup, and since then, since I'm his number one fan, I'm his number one fan. That's what I use. I use Hunt's ketchup on everything.
So you finally came around. Ketchup's ketchup.
I use it on rice, macaroni and cheese. I put
eggs.
Hunt's ketchup on everything.
Put it on your asparagus.
Ooh, delicious.
Asparagus and ketchup. Hunt's ketchup, that is.
Yep. Oh, man. Hey, Chris America, we're talking about all these trades. You're talking about the Lakers. Lakers are doing amazing, and they're back. But you're right, the Celtics. What are they doing? The Celtics were not active on that trade deadline, were they? They kind of hold tight because I think they're waiting for this summer for a big AD proposal.
I think they are, and I think that's what the Pelicans are waiting for. You said you don't know what they're doing. I think that's exactly what they're doing. I think the Celtics have more to offer, and I was starting to think about this, Loudbeard. The core that they were wanting to trade was the LA Lakers team last year, and they didn't make the playoffs, and they didn't do that well. Now, you can say, you can hope that they figure it out, they gel, they become superstars down the road, but there's no guarantee of that. So, do the Pelicans really want a team that couldn't make the playoffs? I don't know that they wanted that. I don't know that they had that much faith, especially if the Lakers don't have that much faith in those guys. Here you are, you're trading away the core of your team, and you're telling me you want me to take them on, you want me to believe that they're good, when you don't believe that they can get LeBron James to the finals? You don't think they can get LeBron James to where they need to go? How are they going to get us to where we need to go, and we don't have LeBron James?
It's all about potential, Chris America. You're excited about this Orlando Magic deal with Markelle Fultz coming. We're not looking at what Markelle Fultz did on the court this year. We're looking at what his potential is. And the young core, when you look at Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball, you're really looking at guys that haven't completely developed into what they're going to be, and you're sitting there thinking, what is that potential? Now, the Pelicans may say, kind of what you're thinking or what you're coming out with, is that they haven't developed as quickly and haven't became what we thought they would be on the court as of yet. So maybe we're not willing to take that chance in sending away Anthony Davis for those guys in that young core. But when we look at Boston and their young core, specifically Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, when we look at what Jason Tatum did last year in the playoffs, it was phenomenal. And so they're thinking Jason Tatum, who is rumored to be the guy that the trade proposal will be centered around, will be in that trade. And that guy has more potential, in my opinion, and probably the Pelicans' opinion, than what anything the LA Lakers are offering. So if you've got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and some draft picks, some nice first-round draft picks, then we can talk. And that's what the Pelicans are doing. They're saying, you know what? We can wait and see what Boston offers. And if Boston doesn't offer as much as we would like, we can go back to L.A. And you mentioned this, Chris America. You said the Pelicans know that LA will be there over the summer also. So they don't have to make the deal now because LA will be back knocking at their door as soon as the season's over, and they're going to be ready to make that trade again.
Yeah, the Lakers didn't get less desperate after this trade deadline, and if they don't make the playoffs this year, which there's still a chance they don't, Loud, but I know you think LeBron James can lift them up and everything. And listen, we just saw them win in Boston on the road after this trade deadline, and they beat them on a game-winning buzzer. I don't know if they can do that night in and night out, but we'll see. But even if they do make the playoffs, I don't see them getting a high enough seed to where they can make it to the second round. If they have to play Oklahoma City, the Warriors, maybe they can beat the Denver Nuggets, but I don't know, man. In a 7-game series, it's tough to beat a team that is that much better than you. I think Denver could be the one team that they take to 7 games and sneak one out. But unless they're going to play Portland or Houston, I don't know, man. Even Houston, I don't think they have enough juice to win a 7-game series. But, Loudbeard, it's a long way to go till we get to June and July. Actually, May. Don't the playoffs start in like April and then they end in October?
Yeah, it goes on forever, but I love it. No, it's not October, man.
I know, man. I'm just messing.
Jeez, you're out of control. So here's another tweet coming in at us. We want to thank all of our listeners for hitting us up on Twitter. We love being interactive. We love talking to our fans, our listeners, and our good friends out there in Twitter land. At @meangreen_42, our good friend David Green tweets in at us, "Hey, Scout Team Radio, the interesting thing is if Kyrie leaves, and that would lower the Lakers' offer." So the Pelicans are taking a little bit of a chance here because if Kyrie leaves, the Boston Celtics may kind of reevaluate what they are able to offer for Anthony Davis. Because we heard at the beginning of the year, Kyrie said, "I'm committed to Boston." And then halfway through the season, he's kind of like, well, nothing's certain. So there is a chance that Kyrie leaves because Kyrie may want to go back with LeBron and try to win a championship in LA. Kyrie may say that this Boston Celtics experiment isn't working. And when Boston gets beat on the floor by LA, you know that doesn't sit well with Kyrie. So interesting take there. What if Kyrie leaves? This whole thing could get switched around, Chris America. Everything could change.
Yeah, that's true. It could. And they are taking a huge gamble risk. But we'll wait to see how that plays out. Right now, we have another question in from Memphis Spence. Which one had the better trade, Raptors or Bucks? Now, we didn't really talk about it yet, I don't think. But Mirotic, Nikola
Mirotic from the he gets traded to the Bucks. So this is an interesting one.
Yeah, he helped the Pelicans make a push to the semifinals when he arrived last year at last year's trade deadline. Now he's on the Bucks Eastern Conference team, the best team in the East according to their record. I already deemed Toronto the team to beat now, Loudbeard. I'm not going to back down from that.
Yes, I'm going to say Toronto came out with the best trade, Memphis Spence, but by just a slight margin. The Bucks, they get Mirotic, and when you look at his production on the floor, it's really not a whole lot different than Gasol. He's kind of like a poor man's Marc Gasol, but not by much. He's a quality player. Again, he's an above-average power forward. He's come in, and he adds a lot to Milwaukee. He adds a lot of presence, and you know they're going to look at moving Ersan Ilyasova, former Orlando Magic player. I'm not going to say legend. I'm not going to say it. But former Orlando Magic player, Ersan Ilyasova, they're going to kind of push him back in the rotation, and Mirotic is going to fill in nicely and be a super pickup for the Bucks. So Raptors win this by just a little bit, but the Bucks get so much better also. The East is an arms race right now, and this trade deadline really showed it.
All right, Loudbeard, one last trade talk before we go to break, and then we're going to move on to other things. I'm kind of glad that we get to move on from trade talk because it's all we've talked about the last 2 weeks. Charlotte Hornets, the only Eastern Conference team not to do anything. We thought that was going to be our Magic, but it wasn't. Luckily, it was the Charlotte Hornets. Do you think that was a good move for a team that's kind of hanging on to the 6th, 7th, and 8th seed?
No, absolutely not. What they're more worried about on the future aspect of it is they got to make Kemba Walker happy. And I thought that's what they were going to do this trade deadline. They were in serious discussions with the Grizzlies to get Marc Gasol, and that deal never panned out, right? So all of a sudden, Gasol goes over to the Raptors, and the Hornets are left with nothing. And Kemba Walker can walk at the end of this year. And if I were him, being on the Hornets, they really haven't done anything to build around them. They've tried to sign guys, but they end up overpaying, and they've got a lot of really bad contracts on that squad. I think it's time for Kemba Walker to move on, which to me means that the Charlotte Hornets absolutely lost in this trade deadline frenzy, and it is not looking good. And even if they make the 6th, 7th, or 8th seed in the East this year, it's not where they want to be. The East is so good on the top side, they're not going to get far in the playoffs, even if they make the playoffs. And at the end of the year, I think the big loss is going to be Kemba.
Yeah, I even think if they somehow miraculously made it to the 4th or 5th seed, I don't see them beating Boston or Philly. Maybe they can fight them off a little bit. I don't know. I feel like they're just going to get swept no matter what they do, or at the very best, a gentleman sweep in the playoffs.
Oh, the good old gentleman sweep, Chris America. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and challenge you because I feel like I have a gentleman sweep coming up on what we're doing after the commercial break. What do you think?
Yes, I've had some pretty bad luck in our drafts these last few weeks, but I'm ready to bounce back. I'm ready to bring it on, and that's why I chose the draft this time, and we're going Royal Rumble winners. Oh, yeah!
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
Welcome back, and thank you all for listening in. We absolutely appreciate it. We had to do a quick commercial break. You know, got to keep the lights on here at the studio. You can catch us every day, Monday through Friday, weekdays at 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. We're also partnering with the Barn Burner Network, so you can catch the podcast on that podcast network. Make sure you hit us up on Twitter. Also, we got very interactive this morning. David Green tweeted in just now at us, when are y'all doing your college baseball preview extravaganza so I can tune in? Well, the answer to that, David, is tune in every day, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. And one of these days we might come through for you. Who knows? But you got to listen.
Here's a sneak peek of that. The Florida Gators are the best baseball team ever. I don't even care if they win. They're still the best. The Florida Gators on the diamond. And we'll go over to softball as well. Florida Gators. Still the Gators.
Oh, man, that's a bunch of garbage right there. That's a hot garbage take right there from Chris America. And if you want to listen to all Chris America's hot garbage takes, you can go back to listen to the podcast. It's available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. Make sure you listen, subscribe, rate, review, do all that fun stuff. Right, Chris America?
Yep, or they can find my garbage hot takes at Chris Scout Team on Twitter. I tweet constantly hot garbage takes.
That's so true. Wow, that's the least garbage hot take that you've ever had is that you do. Yeah, okay. So what are we doing? We're doing our Friday fantasy draft, and Chris America, you chose the topic. So when you get beat this time, you have no excuses. Is that correct?
That is true, Loudbeard. I will have no excuses, but I don't know that I have that much of an edge here. I think you were just as big of a wrestling fan when you were a kid as I am. So we're going to go with the Royal Rumble winners of the draft. And Loudbeard, I have the number one pick this week because you took McDonald's horse, Michael Jordan versus Larry Bird, nothing but net commercial, and I believe that's why I got crushed. I can't believe Terry Tate got crushed the way that he did.
I think Terry Tate is more forgotten than the horse game.
You're right.
But if you go back and watch
it, yeah,
it's better. But that's how that rolls. Sometimes that's that strategery that you've got to put into your draft.
Yes, it is, Loudbeard. Now I am looking at the Royal Rumble list, and I have the number one pick, and a lot of great wrestlers of all time on this list, Loudbeard. So making the number one pick is a tough one because your number two pick is also going to be a number one pick. And then my number three pick, or the third pick in the draft, he's also going to probably be a number one overall selection. So I'm just going to go with my heart. I'm going to go with the favorite wrestler that I've always had of all time, and that is none other than Stunning Steve Austin, or when he won it, he was more commonly known as Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, that would have been my number one pick also. When that glass breaks and he comes into the ring, the crowd goes wild.
Especially if Vince McMahon's in there. If Vince McMahon's in the ring and then you hear the glass break, it is on.
That it is, my friend.
Probably one of the best rivalries in entertainment history was Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon.
Yep, I agree with that. So for my number one pick, wow, you already threw me through a loop, Chris America. I feel you on that Stone Cold pick. That's where I would have gone, but I guess I'm gonna try to go safe with my number one pick. But in 2007, the dead man himself, The Undertaker, won the Royal Rumble, and he is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time and one of the greatest Royal Rumble winners of all time. That's right. My number one pick is The Undertaker.
Yeah, when The Undertaker won that one, that was quite the surprise, I think, because usually the Royal Rumble is there to get newer guys that you're trying to get over, like you're trying to put over. That's who you're trying to win the Royal Rumble. Your guys who have been kind of rising stars, and now you're ready for them to be put on that bigger stage. And so it was surprised they gave a veteran, a guy who had been in the business probably close to 20 years by then, if I'm not mistaken. So Loudbeard, that was a good pick for you right there.
Yeah, solid number one pick. All right, Chris America, go ahead.
All right, so now it's my turn to make a pick.
Yep.
I'm going to go with this guy right here.
It's not just any Wi-Fi.
Or I'm going to go with a commercial.
It's the
Damn
best
you, YouTube. Well, I'm going to build up this
well
guy.
Played.
This guy
that was awesome.
This guy is one of the most electric wrestlers of all time. Probably top three. I'm going to say he's a top three wrestler. Now here he is.
Myself and Cashmere. Woo, 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 woo. I dress myself in $100 pleated slacks. Who made this coat? Hugo Boss, Armani, you set up broke hell. My life just started, Jack.
You keep your mouth shut. I'm gonna go in there and slap your face.
I ain't leaving.
I will. A $15,000 Rolex. You get on Space Mountain. You'll be like this.
And now, you and I are limousine ride, jet flying, get stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun. Oh, who are you? Never tell me how to wrestle. Bright lights, big cities. I am Ric Flair.
All right, I get it. You're just showing off now. You're just showing off. You're a show off.
Oh, come on. It's Ric Flair, man. I can't stop the legend himself. When Ric Flair gets going, you just let him go. You just let him play it. In 1992, in Albany, New York, in Knickerbocker Arena, Ric Flair won the Royal Rumble. And like I said, we've had 3 picks, Loudbeard. All 3 of them #1 overall picks in their own right.
Yeah, this is what happens sometimes. You know, the guy that you're pinpointing to draft gets swept out under the rug right before your pick, and I would have gone Ric Flair with my second overall pick. But now that you have selected him, I'm gonna have to move on. And I'm going a little safe early in the draft. I'm gonna have to go with this guy because I am a real American, Chris America, and the only other real American that I know is Hulk Hogan. The Hulkamaniac, the Hulkster, 1990, wins the Royal Rumble. So I'm going Hulk Hogan with my #2 draft pick. I know he's a little controversial, but in the wrestling world in 1990, there was nobody bigger, badder, and better than the Hulkamaniac.
No, and it was kind of like our generation, us growing up in the 90s, we had some of the most fun athletes to root for. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. Everybody loved Wayne Gretzky. But deep down inside, you also knew that you were a Hulkamaniac. Every single kid was a Hulkamaniac. There were no ifs, ands, or buts about it, Loudbeard. And once again, another solid #1 overall pick, and that's pick #4.
Yes. These are all top guys in their field. No arguing with any of these 4 right here.
All right, Loudbeard, you ready for the #5 pick, my #3 pick?
Yeah, I know it's going to be exactly who I'm looking at right now. That's what you're going to do. That's how you roll.
Yes, sir. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, come on down to Chris America Team Royal Rumble, buddy. I am going rock bottom. I'm going People's Elbow. I pick the People's Champ to be my next pick.
Nice. When did The Rock win? I didn't even have him on my list. I must have overlooked it. Maybe I glanced too quickly at my list.
The Rock won in January 23rd, 2000, and he won where only The Rock can win. There's no better place for The Rock to win than in New York, Madison Square Garden.
Darn you, Chris America. Darn you. That was me. My bad. I did not do enough research on this. I overlooked it. I overlooked The Rock, and I don't know how I could do that because he is one of my favorite of all time. Okay, that's it. I get to move on. You know what? On the Barn Burner Network, we get a lot of fans from Canada. And I feel like one of the most storied wrestling families of all time is the Hart family. From up there in Canada, and I have to go with my favorite, the Hitman, Bret Hart, winning it back in 1994. So Bret Hart is my 3rd pick in the Royal Rumble winner draft.
Oh, man, Bret Hart, another fan favorite, Loudbeard. Trying to pick the #1 greatest wrestler of all time is very difficult, and I'm seeing that right now through this list. And one of the most memorable moments was I can't remember what city it was. I think it was the Toronto Screwjob or the Ontario Screwjob. I'm having a blank on which city it was. But when Bret Hart was supposed to take the fall because Vince didn't want him leaving to the WCW with his title, he wanted to give it to my next guy, my next pick, Loudbeard. And he didn't do it. He wouldn't do it, so Vince had to get up and and yelled, "Ring the damn bell," and all that other stuff. So, yes, Loudbeard, now it's going to be my time to pick my guy. Let me get set up here. But what did you like the most about Bret Hart?
The sharpshooter was the classic move. I remember when I was a kid, we would always try to do the wrestling moves, and we'd be messing around with friends, and I'd be busting out sharpshooters and figure 4 leg locks and all that.
Yes.
And the sharpshooter was by far the best, man. He was always one of my favorites. This is going back, and it sounds kind of crazy now that I'm saying it out loud, but I used to push carts as my first job ever. So I was a cart guy, and so we came up with nicknames that we would put on the back of our reflective orange vests when we were out there pushing carts in the parking lot. And mine was Bret the Hitman Cart. That was my nickname. True story.
That has to be the best story you've told on air to date.
One of my buddies, he was Shawn Michaels, the cart break kid. True story.
Well, Loudbeard, that leads me into my next pick. Let me make sure the volume's up so that way we get the full effect of my pick.
You're a boy toy.
I've got the look
that makes the crowd go wild. He's got the moves, Loudbeard. That is Shawn Michaels, the cart break kid.
Oh,
I love it, Loudbeard.
Gosh. I'm liking your list pretty well here, sir. I'm liking your list. We did get a tweet in. Mike Berlon from Craft Brewed Sports. He tweets in. He says, "No idea how I'm going to pick who wins this. This Royal Rumble draft is fire." That's right, Mike. We're going all in, and this is getting tough. I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty here as I go in for my 4th pick in this draft. I feel like I really need to go with somebody that's a little bit more contemporary, a fan favorite that some of the younger generation out there might appreciate. And, there was this inappropriate sex scene he had with Amy Schumer in that one movie. But other than that, this guy's really been a cool dude, and that would be John Cena, 2008, winning the Royal Rumble.
Oh, I like that. Hustle. That might actually cost you, Loudbeard. That might have actually lost it for you.
Ooh, you think so? I'm running out of choices here, man.
I know.
It's not looking good.
I know. John Cena is, but I love John Cena. Don't get me wrong, and I think it's an excellent pick. He would still push you over the edge for me, but he has to be the most polarizing wrestler of all time. I've never seen a guy who was pushed so hard as the face end up being so hated by so many fans. I mean, there would be times when he's wrestling and the crowd would chant, "Let's go Cena," and then another chant would be, "Cena sucks." And he's been one of the most odd wrestling characters of all time. And I don't know if that's going to help or hurt your cause, Loudbeard. I think you picked the most polarizing guy of all time.
You know me, I like to be on the edge. I like a little
you do.
little controversy with my draft every time.
All right, well, I'm going to bring a little controversy, and I might be taking a risk just like you did, but I feel like this person was such a great heel that people will vote for me just for that. Here we go. And it's loading. God, I hate my internet connection sometimes.
Loading.
No chance, so that's what you got.
Yeah. Stone Cold won the Royal Rumble in 1998. The Rock won it in 2000, and sandwiched in between there in 1999, the last Royal Rumble of the 20th century was won by none other than Mr. McMahon. Nobody in that ring had a chance when Vince McMahon, the number 2 entrant, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he hid under the ring as soon as he got down there and stayed down there or stayed hidden somewhere the entire match and then went in at the last minute.
Yeah, Vince McMahon. That's a good choice there, man. I can't say that this is a bad pick. Very, very nice by you. Going all heel crazy with Vince McMahon. All right, good choice. I can't argue it. Good job.
All right,
Chris America.
Loudbeard. This is
That one
it.
threw me off a little bit. I'll be honest. Threw me off a little bit.
I know. That's what I was kind of. I kind of thought you were gonna go with that because you usually go like off the wall with your third or fourth pick, and then I got kind of nervous going into the fourth pick because I was like, I saved McMahon for the last. I don't know if it paid off. What is your last pick, Loudbeard?
All right, so I'm gonna also try to go and bring kind of the love from the MMA side of the world. In 2003, a younger Brock Lesnar wins the Royal Rumble, but we know him as the great UFC fighter and the great wrestler. I'm going Brock Lesnar on my final pick.
Oh, that's a solid pick, Loudbeard. You rounded it off well. Now it's time to go with the honorable mentions, and there was one guy I kept saying, I'm going to pick him next. No, he's not better than that. But this is probably I mentioned how polarizing John Cena is. This guy is the least polarizing guy. This guy, I would say, is universally liked by every single wrestling fan, and that is none other than Mr. 619 himself, Rey Mysterio. I almost pulled the trigger on him, Loudbeard, but I just couldn't.
Yeah, I had Rey Mysterio here on my list. That would be a good one. Yeah, I was sitting here. A couple of the ones I had left would have been pretty controversial. I also liked the 1993 winner, and this guy was one of the best heels of all time. And he used to sit on people's faces, and that would be Yokozuna. I thought about throwing him out there.
Oh, Yokozuna, great
That
one.
would have been a good pick too.
Triple H. I was kind of surprised you didn't take Triple H. I'm kind of surprised I didn't take Triple H. He won it a few times.
I had a Triple H sighting on my list. He's the real deal.
And then I almost went a newer one. In fact, she just won the Royal Rumble, and she's probably... I don't watch wrestling, but from what I can gather from Twitter and from watching a couple of wrestling episodes recently because of the Rumble, Becky Lynch. I almost went with Becky Lynch. They're really pushing her to take on this Stone Cold type character right now, or they're running a Stone Cold type storyline where she's injured. Stephanie McMahon suspended her because of her injury. She punched Stephanie McMahon. I almost went with her just because of something more recent, but I don't know how our Twitter followers react to recent wrestling. So I kept it kind of safe with 90s. Everybody feels those connections to all those 90 guys that we all picked.
The 90s, that to me, that was the highlight. I guess the early 2000s, but the late 90s. So I had the early 90s, which was like your Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. And then it bled over to the late 90s into the 2000s when you had The Rock, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels reemerges then. These were the highlights or to me, the golden years of wrestling. I'm not into it as much now, but those to me were the best years of wrestling.
Yes, I agree, Loudbeard. The Attitude Era and the Big Hair Era was definitely some of the best. Maybe just because we've grown up and we're not kids anymore, so we just can't get into the new wrestlers. I feel like that's kind of how it is in entertainment. All of your athletes, all of your music, and all of your wrestlers are better than what they are today. So I bet you the kids today probably think that the same about their stuff. So, Loudbeard, that was a fantastic draft. It was fire, Mr. Mike Berlon from Craft Brewed Sports. Not as fire as your episode yesterday, but still fire. If you guys want to check them out, look them up on Apple Podcast, Spotify, I believe. I think they have a YouTube channel, but look for Craft Brewed Sports on Twitter at Craft B Sports. Is that what their name was, Loudbeard?
Yes.
Did we decide?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Look them up. They have some fire sports takes, although, Loudbeard, I'll finish off with that. They had sort of a debate about the DH. We might lose the pitchers batting in the NL. They might go full-on DH everywhere. Do you like that move?
No, I don't. I think it's a smart move because it makes sense, but I'm a traditionalist with baseball rules. I think you keep it as it is because that's how it's always been, and that's how it always should be. Screw fairness. Screw all of this other logic. I don't like logic. I like how just leaving things how they are messed up where one team can just pick their best batter that doesn't play well in the field, have him hit, compared to pitchers who typically stink at batting. So, yeah, let's keep it the way it is. I don't like rule changes.
You want to keep it the way it is. You like that. But I'm more like Mike Singletary every single time I see a pitcher go up to bat, and that is I want winners. I don't want a guy with a below 2.200 batting average. I don't want that. Nobody wants to see a below 200 batting average guy up to bat. I want the long ball. You know why I want the long ball, Loudbeard?
Because chicks dig the long ball,
Because
Chris
chicks dig the
America.
long ball, and I dig chicks.
Wow. That is a proclamation. That is a proclamation strong enough to end the show with. We want to thank everybody for listening in. This has been our Friday Fantasy Draft episode. We had an amazing time. Thank you again for listening in. We're out of here.
Yes, Loudbeard, this is time for the weekend, and I'm ready for it.
Can't come fast enough.
Going to the Orlando Apollos game tomorrow. AAF.
So we can expect a full recap Monday morning.
Yes. The AAF will be lit AF.
Inappropriate.